Buff Nation.
Squad.
Let's go, baby. Welcome into a virtual studio. It's DNVR Buffs live on a Monday morning. Lots and lots to talk about after a wild weekend of college football. Upsets, big wins, coaches fired. It's going crazy. The NFL Buffs went insane. We'll talk recruiting, final takes on ASU or ISU as well. Where we will start. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling decent, bro. I wonder if people out there really, truly understand how much of a difference it is to be going into a bye week after a loss as opposed to going into a bye week after a win. It's a world of a difference, let me tell you firsthand. And I'm glad that the Buffs, after a couple really heartbreaking losses, were able to kind of turn the page, finish that game, outplay a top 25 team in the second half for your first top 25 win in over 2 years. That is the type of stuff that can change a whole season, that could change the outlook of recruits, of the future of a program. That's how important Saturday's win was for Coach Prime, for this football team. And I was happy to be there in the building for it. I think that was also my first time, too, that I've seen a field rush in person. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's the first one I've seen since Cal 22, I believe.
How does it compare?
What are you trying to get at here?
I'm just saying.
The Cal field rush was better for multiple reasons. We were down bad that year.
True.
We were down bad going into Saturday too, but
yeah, no doubt.
That was more. Saturday was definitely more of a sigh of relief, and more of like, okay, we can do this. 2022 was, thank God we're not going to win 12. It's a pretty big sigh of relief.
Did they rush the field after Baylor? Is that right?
Oh, they might have actually.
Then I guess maybe I lied then. I guess.
I can't. That game was pandemonium at the end.
It really was. Maybe they did. So
TB says in the chat that they did rush the field. So.
Okay, so then that was my first one. But yeah, that one just felt different for a lot of reasons. But yeah,
there's a collective sigh of relief from the fan base, from the players, the coaching staff, us, many people. Where do you want to start with your final takes on the Buffs upset over Iowa State?
Man, I think it has to start with the quarterback, right? After losses, that's where we start, or that's where I've been starting. So it's only right that after a big win against a top 25 team, we start with the quarterback, because straight up, Kaidon Salter outplayed Rocco Becht on Saturday.
Yep.
And that's a big reason why the Buffaloes came out on top. I mean, he was great. It was a little shaky in the first half. We heard some boo birds out there in the first half after a couple of those misses, a couple of those inaccuracies, but I'm telling you, man, the second half, Kaidon Salter, like, that was what everybody has been waiting on, man. And again, to come out of that second half after a rough first half, after a rough week 6 performance, and to really play lights out after halftime is just so impressive, man. That 70-yard touchdown to a wide open Amari Miller just got everything going. And you could tell that there was a different Kaidon Salter after that moment. You know, his touchdown that he threw to JoJo Williams for the go-ahead score, only 3 yards out, but that has to be one of the most difficult 3-yard touchdown passes that I've seen in college football this year. Getting it over an outstretched defender right in the corner of the end zone, a hell of a catch by JoJo. Kaidon, whether he was running, whether he was deciding to take off and run, he had 57 rushing yards as well. Whether he was taking off the run or, delivering a dot, he was decisive, man, and he looked like the player who was the Conference USA MVP back in 2023, and maybe even a better version. So, like I said at the top, he outplayed Rocco Becht, who in many people's eyes is one of the best, most underrated quarterbacks in college football. And because of that, this offense looked, I think, the best it has looked, at least in the second half of the game this season. And Kaidon has a lot to do with that. So hats off to him, man. He deserves his flowers after a rough couple weeks.
He absolutely does. I mean, you mentioned it, that play coming out at halftime to hit Amari Miller. I mean, that's literally exactly what he needed, what the Buffs offense needed, what Coach Prime needed to see out of Kaidon Salter. You got to give credit to him. He was absolutely slaughtered on social media and online the last 2 weeks. And he responded. Neely talked about that on Friday and during the pregame show when we asked him. And, he clearly saw and heard a lot of that noise, but he, accepted accountability. And I think that's what Coach Prime and a lot of what, the people in the building, the Champions Center, have been looking for out of Kaidon Salter. He fully owned it, and he truly stepped up as the unquestioned QB1 for this team this weekend. It was by far the best passing outing this offense has had in a half in a game this entire season so far. Kaidon was locked in, made great decisions. You have to give credit to him. Again, this is what it looks like when it's all rolling together. This is the vision that we all had when we made those predictions before the season of what this team could do and what they could look like. This was the vision. It took us obviously 7 weeks to get here. There's a lot more football to be played. Most important football of the season is yet to be played, in my opinion, in terms of the matchups and what it means in the standings. So hopefully this, is them turning the corner, them starting to change and fully realize their full potential, because this team, as we've talked about through all the tough losses, they're not a bad football team. I've not seen a bad football team wearing that CU logo, maybe besides the second half of Houston. That's the only time you can really say it really bad this year. But it's about time, honestly, and it was well needed.
Yeah, according to Pro Football Focus, Kaidon Salter's 92 passing grade this past week in Week 7 was the highest among all quarterbacks in college football. That just proves how dialed in he was. And, maybe to segue to a different point, as good as Kaidon Salter was on Saturday, I think, right, we've talked a lot about the word identity when it comes to this offense a lot this season. And I think that became a bit more crystallized, a bit more solidified on Saturday when you look at the run-pass split. 39 rush attempts for this Colorado offense on Saturday against Iowa State to 25 pass attempts. That is the balance, the run-pass split that we have been clamoring for on the show. When you have a strong, big, physical offensive line and dudes behind them in the running back room who can flat out get the job done, that's what you have to lean into. And that has to be your bread and butter, and everything else comes off of that. The deep shots, the play action shots that Kaidon Salter is really, really good at doing. That stuff doesn't work as well as it should until you establish the run, until you prove that you can run the football. And Coach Prime had a quote after the game where he was like, when the opponent knows you're running and you are still able to run the football, that's tremendous. And that is what we saw on Saturday. That's what we saw on the other end when Georgia Tech in Week 1. We knew they were running the football. Everybody knew they was running the football. They were still going to do it, and they did it successfully. Same thing with BYU even. Everybody knew they was running the football, and they were able to do it successfully. In that game on Saturday, especially with the game being very close and even late in the game when Colorado was trying to kind of salt that game away, Iowa State knew they was running the football, and they were still able to get it done. Dallan Hayden was close to 5 yards a carry. Kaidon was over 5 yards a carry. And, even whether it was Micah or even Cam in limited opportunities, they did enough to give this offense just a semblance of a run game and the physicality that it really needs. Based on the best players on this offense, the Jordan Seams of the world, the Zarin McGill, who is continuing to be a stalwart at that center spot. So that was another big takeaway for me. Hopefully this wasn't just a one-off. Hopefully this is something that Pat Shurmur realizes needs to be the identity of his offense. Run comes first, and everything else comes off of that. So that was another big takeaway for me as well. Shout out to Dallan Hayden. Another solid week. 2 straight weeks of leading his team in rushing. I don't even know whether Simeon Price comes back or when Draylen comes back. Don't think you can put that back on the bench. So shout out to Dallan for making the most of his opportunities as well.
100% shout out to Dallan. Before we get to the running back room, just elite from the offensive line. Jordan's out there doing Jordan things. He's one of the best, if not the best, offensive tackle in college football right now. But Xylon Chrysler almost had an elite passing grade or pass blocking grade in quarter PFF. So did Zarin McGill. So did Dallan Hayden. Again, when you rewatch the game, there's just no pressure on Kaidon Salter at all. There's wide open run lanes for the backs to run through. They're moving the line of scrimmage. It's night and day difference from what we saw the last 2 years, clearly. But as you said, it's the engine of this football team. And again, just watch Jordan Seaton for like a drive. He's so locked down, man. It's crazy. It's a true athlete playing left tackle, and you got to understand how rare that is to have someone with that athletic ability playing at that position. It's truly rare. Buff Nation's very lucky to have this guy on this football team. And also shout out to him, too, for showing a little bit more leadership, I think, as well this weekend, too. He's one of those guys that he has to step up a bit, too, I think. And I think we started to see that against Iowa State in terms of the leadership department, putting his foot down. I mean, I can't remember who it was. I think it was after he got called for that holding late in the game. I mean, starts doing a little bit of pouting on the field, and Jordan straight up tells him, like, no, like, don't do that. Like, get off the field at this point. You're getting subbed out. We can't have this on the field right now, especially at this point in the game. We can't, after all these positives, we can't start to, feel bad about ourselves and feel bad about what's going wrong on the football field. So shout out to Jordan, Zai, and all those guys for just picking it up. I mean, what a massive week from the offensive line.
Great point about Jordan Seaton's leadership, because Coach Primer's talked about it quite a bit this season. He talked about it again after the game on Saturday. He was like, it's tough to be a leader when the dudes in that locker room know that you're not getting it done on the field.
Yep.
We know Jordan Seaton is getting it done on the field and then some. And that kind of puts the onus on him even more to step up as a leader, because he's more than capable of doing it. And everybody in that locker room respects him, from players to coaches. So it's kind of on him to step up, especially when he knows his team is kind of devoid of at least the leadership that they had certainly last year. He has to be that guy. And I agree. I think we saw kind of steps of him moving in that right direction of, like, knowing that if it's not him, who is it going to be?
Right.
So it has to be him. And did you see that clip? It was hilarious. Not so much.
Yes, after the Joseph touchdown? Yes. Hilarious.
JoJo kind of runs into the ref as he's celebrating, and Seaton realizes it, like, stops the ref, is like, hey, he did not mean that. And that was just hilarious, man. Seaton is he is the ultimate leader, man. He is what you want in a franchise, in a program, cornerstone, the face of a program. And like I said, man, he's doing it on the field. He's doing it off the field. Like, that is what you want in the face of your program. And he is doing everything you could ask of.
Totally. We'll start talking about the running backs here. We'll dig in more on the other side of the break here in a couple minutes. But clearly, they weren't lying when, there was some, I think, level of concern, especially when Isaiah Gustav entered the portal in the spring. And you saw them only add really Simeon Price and DeKalen Taylor. People are wondering, where's the running back production going to come from? They weren't worried. They didn't flinch. They knew what they had in-house in Michael Welsh, Dallan, Hayden. Of course, Dallan and Cam have been, kind of switched to that role. Cam is still up in the air, I'd say, at this point, too. So you're kind of in a, like, can't-lose situation with this. You got to do something, though, because I don't know if we're going to get DeKalen Taylor back. I don't know if we're going to get Simeon Price back. I'm pretty sure we're going to get Dallan back at some point, though. And you're going to have to figure out how to handle these touches. And it's something that they've kind of battled with all year, is divvying up touches for the running back room, and who to play when and what situation. So real quick, just a minute real quick from you on the running back situation.
It's ideal, even with some injuries, even while being thin, even while being banged up, you're still getting the job done. 140 rushing yards on Saturday against Iowa State. And I think it's a big credit to Marshall Faulk. We kind of all just assumed that this running game would improve when you add a Pro Football Hall of Famer, arguably the best running back of the modern era, to his coaching staff. And I think once the season started, as fall camp began in week 1 and week 2 and by, people kind of just forgot about it or didn't talk about it because maybe they didn't see the results that they were looking for. But now that we're sitting here, 7 games in, halfway through the season, his impact has been pretty obvious, because it doesn't matter really who's toting the rock.
Yeah.
They've been consistent. Like, we've seen 5-6 dudes, some even receivers, toting the rock back there and getting the job done. And certainly that's a credit to the offensive line as well. It's a credit to Gunnar White and George Hegeman and Andre Girard as well. But that was one of the biggest things that we talked about this offseason, right, was that the running game had to improve. And I don't even know if we envisioned the running game improving to this level that it has already. And I think the encouraging part, too, is that there's still a lot more meat 100%. On the bone, as talked about after the game Saturday. So while it has improved, there's still a lot of room for improvement. And I think once you get Dallan back, hopefully you get Simeon or DeKalen back at some point, and you can get full strength and you can get full buy-in from the offensive play caller as well. That, look, this is our identity. We're going to run this ball 40 times a game, which is close to what they did on Saturday. Once the consistency and the buy-in from all 11 on the field plus the coaching staff kind of marries together, I think we can really see this run game take off.
Totally. All right, let's hit our first break. And shout out to our homies over at the Colorado Soccer Association, the official hub for 65-plus club teams across the state. And they are also offering programs for youth players, adult players, coaches, refs, and families who just want to get involved in the game. It's clearly a great game to get the youngins involved in. It looks a lot like bees going around a beehive at times, but it's a great way to get off your athletic career. And kids can start their soccer journey as early as age 3, whether you're playing for fun, competing at the highest level, or exploring a career in soccer. There's something for everyone. We got the 2026 World Cup coming to the U.S. Next year. You got the new National Women's Soccer League team, the Denver Summit FC, joining Colorado, and all their sports teams. So get in on the action now. If you want to get involved, visit coloradosoccer.org to find a club near you and be a part of the future of the game.
And shout out to the squad, our good friends over at Game Time, man. As y'all know, we are in the thick of college football season. The NFL season is full swing. The NHL is back, and the NBA is rapidly approaching the beginning of the season. So, hey, man, if you want to get in the building, in the venue of, again, whether it's a sporting event, a comedy show, a concert, Game Time is the place for you to do that, because the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's so easy to use, and that Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. And here's my favorite part, at least. The fees are always included. So what you see is what you pay. That Game Time ticket coverage, as you know, it's covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. And with those seat views in the Game Time app, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you even click that buy button. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BUFFS, BUFFS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code BUFFS, BUFFS, for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go, download that Game Time app today. Because what time is it, Jake?
Game time.
Game time.
Shout out to everyone in the chat. Give the stream a like. We'd greatly appreciate it. CB, yes, we will talk recruiting here very, very shortly.
Shout out to Marlene in the chat saying that we're her in-flight entertainment. Shout out to you, Marlene. Get to your destination safely.
For sure. We'll talk about the Bears tonight and a little bit more later. I did play a little footy back in the day, though, Spencer.
I did not, Spencer.
It was fun. I mean, look, I was trying to play football for a long time, so it filled the void for a little while when I was a little young, you know what I'm saying?
That's valid.
Okay, so going back to this running game and how this backfield works out, I want to talk about this real quick, too. And really, this is kind of just like a Pat Shurmur, Kaidon Salter type of point right here. The Buffs just have to stay on the field more. They have to have longer drives. They have to manufacture more first downs. They have to be better on third down. They were pretty good towards the end of the game last week in the second half at least, but I'm pretty sure at halftime they were 2 for 7 on third down. And it reflects in a lot of these like national stats. So we talk about running the ball more clearly, right? Colorado is ranked 87th in the country, or in FBS right now, in terms of rushing yards per game, 143.3. That's around where we talked about them getting this offseason, right? If you can get to 150, that's still around the national average. The first team in the 150s is at 76. That's Tulsa. That's where you, I think, really need to aspire to get to at the very least, if not more. Yeah. With that being said, though, in terms of rushing attempts, this team, they're 97th in the country in rushing attempts per game at 33.6. I mean, they're behind Wyoming, New Mexico, and they clearly are running the ball more. And you go look at the passing stuff too. It's not like they're outpacing the passes with the passing game with the running game here. They're only throwing on average 27.7 pass attempts per game. That's 97th in the country. So in terms of total plays being run, they're just not anywhere near the top half of the country at this point. You just got to stay on the field more. And maybe it does start with just running the ball more, and that's how you sustain more drives. But you got to be more consistent in the play calling, and I think finding a rhythm for both Kaidon and the run game. And Caden's just got to be better at staying on the field. I mean, again, he was great in the second half last week on Saturday. But You got to see more in the 60 minutes that you're allowed, obviously, per game. Like, you got to start just winning this time of possession game, 32 minutes possession, 35 minutes possession, and then you'll start to see these numbers, I think, really tick up. And clearly the offense, if they stay on the field longer, they're probably more successful.
I think all of what you're saying there is certainly valid. I'm just trying to figure out why that is, right? Because the time of possession is like 11th in the Big 12. But when you look at the third down conversion, this offense has been really good on third down. 44%, which is 4th in the Big 12. Like, you're 44% on third down. You're feeling pretty good about that as an offense. And I look at third down attempts, they also have the 4th most in the Big 12 this season. So, like, they're getting in a lot of third down situations and they're converting at a really good rate. But as you mentioned, the time possession is down and they're just not running a lot of plays. So I'm trying to just, I guess, make sense of that in my mind. I don't really know what to make of that. I agree. You
just got to stay on the field.
Yeah, you do. Obviously. But like I said, you're doing well on third down. So I guess it's just those long drives, right? You look at the drive chart for Saturday. They did have the 90-yard drive or 96. Yeah, the 90-yard drive. Yeah. But other than that, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3-and-outs for Colorado on Saturday. One of them was kind of a 4-and-out. Or two of them were actually a 4-and-out. So I think that's a good point, man. But I think it just goes back to our point about this identity and what it needs to be, man. This needs to be a run-first team, man. And I think Pat Shurmur did a really good job of it on Saturday. And we just got to see more of that. I think if we see more game scripts like how we saw on Saturday, I think the time of possession, the average time of possession for this team will increase. And that's kind of where you got to be because this defense is good, man.
Yes.
And I think the times that we have seen this defense struggle is when they just get tired late in games because they give out. They give out. Exactly right. When the offense is going 3-and-out or, 5-and-out or, pick up a first down and they got to punt it, the defense is right back out there. And I think that's the biggest reason why we've seen the lapses in coverage and run stoppage for this defense is because they just get tired, particularly late in games. And that's why Saturday was such a breath of fresh air because Colorado was able to put some drives together. They would stay on the field and be at least even in terms of time of possession with Iowa State. And we saw Colorado's defense in the second half still have juice, still be able to, obviously get the takeaway late in that game and to make a 4th down stop late in that game to really seal that game. So I think all that is very important. And it starts, I think, offensively, right? But it's obviously a complementary game and both phases, all 3 phases really have to complement each other well. They did it on Saturday, and let's see if they can kind of replicate that in a couple weeks in Salt Lake City.
I think one of the things they can do, this is kind of going back to the running back rotation here. You just got to be more decisive and more willing to go to the hot hand early, I think. Micah, of course, had the touchdown, but for whatever reason, it wasn't working for him in terms of running the football. Only 10 – or I'm sorry, this is the right game. 10 attempts for 27 yards. Can we get one rusher? I don't care who it is at this point. One rusher with 15-plus carries. Like, let one guy try and really establish a rhythm, punish the defense. And because, again, you've seen it from all 4 or 5 guys in the backfield, too. Like, Draylen's gotten hot. Mike has gotten hot. Dallan, Simeon, when he's in there, has gotten hot as well. So I think that's where truly it needs to where you can find some more consistency in the running game is just making that call earlier. And again, it's a tough balance because you do want to get all these guys touches and you want to see what they can all do because they're all good. But, I think you need to find that hot hand earlier, however you can, and you need to stick with them earlier. And then you'll start to see more dividends in the run game, sustained drives, more confidence from Hayden, the offense altogether.
Yeah. One more thing that I think I would like to see, and I know for a fact you would like to see, I don't even got to ask you. I know how you feel about this in terms of extending possessions, extending drives. You mentioned the word aggressive. How about being more aggressive on 4th and short, bro?
Yes.
Especially if it's as long as you're not backed up in your own territory. If you're near midfield or certainly an opponent's territory and you're in 4th and 2 or less, you got to go for this more times than not. And it's got to be something that it's not just a run up the middle. You got to work these in. You got to get creative play calls that you practice throughout the week, right? You on Tuesday, you're like, listen, when we're 4th and 1, this is what we're calling here. This is going to be our play action fake. 4th and 2, this is what we're going to call here, whether it's goal line, whether our 2-point play or something, like being more aggressive on 4th down, because there are at least 2 opportunities, I think, on Saturday where you could have gone for it. And I think there's probably at least a handful of opportunities this season on 4th and short where you think you probably should go for this, given the time and score situation, given your offensive line's physicality and play this season. I'm looking at 4th down attempts this season. Colorado has gone for it 15 times, which is right around middle of the pack of the Big 12. They're 60%, though. You're 60% on 4th downs this year.
How many of those, though, are coming in against like TCU or against Houston late in the game when the game's already out of hand, though?
Good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, because the 15 number does seem a bit high, and I don't remember many of them in like high leverage situations like how you're talking about. So again, you're 60% on them, though. That's a rate where you think, okay, we should probably be going for more of these. So again, that's another thing that I think could help extend these drives, especially when you got the running game going, especially when the offensive line is playing the way you want them to. 4th and short, again, whether it's running the ball, whether it's handing it off, or whether it's the hard play action, getting Caden on the perimeter to give him a run pass option. Those are the type of things that, as you see this offense start to gel and find itself, you got to start taking more chances and being more aggressive on those 4th downs.
Especially when you're in no man's land, when you're between the 40s, man, and it's late in the quarter or late in the halves even. The one late in the second half that you didn't go for, then all of a sudden Iowa State marches down the field and makes it a game. It's the same situation that happened against Georgia Tech when you were faced with, I think, again, a 4th and 2. It's right after the 3rd turnover. You're only up 7-0, and you have a chance to really put an exclamation point at what you just did in that first half. You're kind of just letting the team down. You're letting other teams off easy in those situations. And it goes back to the old that classic adage, and it happened to Iowa State on Friday. I want to do what the other team doesn't want me to do, type of thing, right? Yep. Like when Iowa State went on the field and they went to go punt that 4th and 2, the student section, everyone starts clapping, going, hell yes, this is it. This is what we want from this. Yeah. When that happens against you, though, when it's 4th and 2 and Georgia Tech kind of back against the wall with 3 turnovers, they're hoping you punt the football. Exactly. They don't want you to go for it because they know that the situation that they're in. So I just hope that, especially, at this point in the season, I mean, you're really kind of do or die at this point. Like, at what point do you just say, screw it? I mean, 4th and 2, we just kind of got to go here to keep everything going in this direction, not just the game, not just this series, the season in this direction.
100%, especially when you have momentum on your side already, or especially like you said, when it's a back against the wall. It's like, and maybe this might be optimistic thinking, but that 3rd and 16 late in that game, that might have been Coach Prime and maybe Pat Shurmur even turning a corner with the aggressiveness thing, right? Because 100%. 3rd and 16, I don't know about you, I was expecting a safe run to pick up whatever you can and punt the football back. That's what I was expecting. Yep. So when Kaidon Salter not only dropped back, but launched that ball in the middle of the field to JoJo, who made a beautiful catch off a beautiful throw, they knew in that moment, and Coach Prime talked about after the game, he told the team, because that was right after the 2-minute warning, he was like, listen, we picked this 1st down up. The game is over. We win the game. And that kind of mentality, I think, needs to carry over into maybe in the 2nd quarter, maybe in the 3rd quarter, and those type of do or die moments where it's like, listen, if we pick this up, we putting our foot on their neck. And that's another thing that Tawfiq mentioned after the game as well, was like, he's like, you can take away my interception, but the way that we finished and put our foot on their throat to end that game is what I'm most proud of. And that's what you got to do sometimes, especially when you're at home, especially maybe when you're playing against a team that maybe on paper might be a little better than you. Like, those are the type of chances you just got to take and live with the results, right? Because Coach Prime talked about it there. Even if we don't pick up this 3rd down and we got to punt it back to them, it's going to be on our defense, and our defense is going to get the job done. And you live with those results, but you do what you can. You put it in your hands first. When you got the ball, put the pressure on the defense, because like you said, they are praying and hoping, please punt this ball, please punt this ball, please punt this ball. And that's what you can't do. You can't get into what they want you to do. So, like I said, maybe that moment, that 3rd and 16, being aggressive there and seeing it work could potentially lead to this offensive coaching staff being more aggressive in similar situations moving forward.
Well said. Let's take our next break and shout out the homies over at Taco Bell. Taco Tuesday's right around the corner. I know you're pumped, Scotty. Stay tuned for what we're going to have for you tomorrow. Taco Bell's going to hook it up again with some more classic faves coming out. Stay tuned. But check out their new Cantina chicken menu. We tried the bowls last week. They were delicious. It's basically everything that makes Taco Bell great in there, just in a more suitable, I guess, dining type of serving. So also check out the Decades menu. They got that going on with some of your classic faves. And, of course, the Buffs box. For $7, you get 4 Taco Bell classics, cheesy gordita crunch, 5-layer burrito, Doritos Locos Tacos, Cinetwist, and a large drink with a CU Buff player on it. Those cups are collectible as well. Also, shout out to Taco Bell for sponsoring CU Athletics and also donating $1,000 to the Golden Buffalo Scholarship Foundation for every CU touchdown scored this season. You know Buffs love the bell, man.
And shout out to the squad, our good friends over at Coors Light, man. Man, I love me some Coors Light, man, especially this time of year. The weather is changing. It's certainly feeling like fall outside, but it's still football season, man. And, between work and, juggling some other stuff, life can just get busy. So when I decide to choose chill, I'm grabbing me a Coors Light. And I recommend you all out there do this same, because when I tell you those mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies, y'all. It's cold as the Rockies. It's crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. So make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. All you got to do is visit CoorsLight.com/DNVR. As always, celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado.
All right. Final couple of things on Iowa State and just overall before we get to recruiting. Your level of, let's use this word, level of optimism going forward from this point. Clearly, we have a bye week. You should get some guys back from injury. I don't know how much we're going to get back exactly. The injury report is worse and better than it looks at times. So level of optimism for the rest of the season for this team, scale of 1 to 10. Where are you at?
Scale of 1 to 10 on my level of optimism. I'm gonna say like the 6.5 range. And I'll tell you my biggest reason for optimism right now, aside from this Colorado football team playing their best game, most complete game of the season on Saturday. Obviously, heading into this bye week, you're going to get some bodies back. You're going to get healthy. And who do you got on the other side of that bye week? It's the Utah Utes. Who do the Utah Utes play this week, Jake?
Don't they have Iowa State?
They got BYU.
BYU,
and
yes.
That's a big game, ain't it? Ain't that a rivalry game that has been played for a long time? It's a lot that's going into that game. And I think catching Utah after a rivalry game like that, where they're going to put a lot of emotion into, I think could really bode well for this Colorado football team. Colorado actually played Utah last year after they were in that, what's it called? The Holy War, correct?
I think so, yeah.
And if you remember, BYU is obviously a top 20 team at that point last year. Utah was the opposite of that, dealing with quarterback issues. But Utah gave BYU everything they could handle in that game. I think it was a 3-point game, final score that BYU won. And then Utah, 1 point. Oh, yeah, 1-point game. Utah comes to Folsom Field the week after that, and we all know what happened. It was BTA. And I think part of that was because Utah was just so spent emotionally from that rivalry game the week before. And I think you could potentially get another showing from them next week for that late kickoff down there in Salt Lake City. So obviously Colorado has momentum. And I saw Coach Prime, a clip of him addressing the team in a meeting today, where he played a video of the locker room scene after the game on Saturday, and all them boys and they're turned up. And Coach Prime like, why can't this be every week? Mm-hmm. And I think as a former player, that resonated with me, because there is literally nothing more fun than a football locker room after a big win. And for those guys in that locker room, I think for the first time all season, really to experience that, because beating a top 25 team is a lot different than beating Delaware. It's a lot different than beating Wyoming. But getting that experience that those players got for the first time as a group in their locker room on Saturday, I think could potentially unlock something in them. Like, yeah, why the hell can't we do this every week? Why the hell can't we finish games and play the way that we're capable of playing? And I think, again, with an extra week to prepare for Utah, with an extra week to get some bodies more rested, I think we could see a similar version of the Colorado football team we saw last week in Salt Lake City. And if we see that team again, they're going to win that game. And they're going to be 4-4 with everything ahead of them, with a potential Baylor 2024 finish to the season ahead of them. So that's where my level of optimism is right now. I'm not completely going to forget the first 5 weeks of the season, but it appears his team might have turned the corner. We'll know for sure in a couple weeks in Salt Lake.
Yeah, I'm about the same. I'm like 7.5, because this team has showed these flashes all year long. And Saturday was just the first time of them putting it all together, really. And I do think it is kind of a lot to ask them to just continue to replicate that. But I also think that, again, with the signs that were shown and with Kaidon kind of stepping up, with Jordan stepping up, I think a lot of what Coach Prime has talked about in terms of leadership is starting to, be picked up by the players, be picked up by the team. And it feels like a different level of accountability. And especially after that game where it was kind of do or die in terms of the context of the season, in terms of getting out from behind the 8 ball for bowl eligibility, and whatever slim to none chances you have left for the Big 12 title game. That's what you had to do. You had to stay in it. So it is going to get, tougher. You got some big games coming against Utah, against ASU, against potential Big 12 contenders. So I do think that this team did kind of turn a corner a bit, though. I think that, again, it's so many of the signs that we've seen. It's just when Caden's not turning the ball over, when you're able to run the ball and sustain drives, when the defense is actually being supported by an offense when it comes to bailing them out. Again, this is what it's supposed to look like. So I don't think it was an accident what happened on Saturday. I think that this is a very replicable formula for the Buffs.
Is ASU right after? Okay, so you got ASU a little later in the season, but you mentioned them there. They've had some tough injury news. I saw today.
Yeah.
I think they lost the starting offensive lineman. I think they lost the starting linebacker, both of them for the season. And obviously they were without Sam Levitt this past weekend, and boy did they get bust.
They got Jeff Sims. That's what happened.
Yes, they did. So there's opportunities. There are really opportunities on the schedule. And again, it's not as daunting potentially as it looks, especially with K-State there late in the year. Like, that's not the team that a lot of us thought they would be going into the season. Arizona, the Wildcats look better than a lot of people thought, but that one's at home on homecoming. And then West Virginia is looking like the worst team in the conference so far this year. So the schedule, there are a lot of opportunities for the vibes around this team and this season to change.
Totally. All right, let's get to recruiting. A lot of commits on campus this week, and Rodney Colton on campus. We had Gavin Mueller on campus, DeMonte Timms on campus. Who am I forgetting? Am I forgetting one?
Presto Money,
of course. And the biggest news to come out of this recruiting weekend was both Presto Money and Rodney Colton, of course, coming on their visits. They were hanging out together pregame as well. Yeah. And both of them, I think this was yesterday, said they're locked in. Recruitment shut down. Crib, home, whatever you want to call it. That's what Boulder is to them. And it's very exciting. You talked to Presto Money. What do you have to say?
I did talk to Preston Ashley today, and man, I love talking to that guy, man. He has so quickly become a fan favorite, man, and for good reason. Not only is he a dog on the football field, but he is just so overly locked in with Coach Prime in Colorado. Like I said, I talked to him today. Go check out that story with my interview with him on DNVR.com for the diehards. Make sure you become a diehard if you aren't already. It's the perfect time to do that. We're getting into the bye week halfway through the season, and we got so much more exclusive content coming your way. But back to Preston a little bit, man. I just wanted to talk to him about his visit this past weekend, a visit that he says that he can't even put into words right now. He said it blew away his expectations, especially him being from the South. He goes, I've seen big football, but you wouldn't expect big football in huge crowds like that. He goes, it was so amazing getting to see the fans rush the field and how much love they have for their team even with the ups and downs. He said his favorite part of the visit was the weekend itself, just the whole weekend. He said he couldn't really pinpoint his favorite parts, but he did mention meeting Coach Prime again, obviously was one of his favorite parts, getting to sit down with Coach Mathis and getting to spend time with playmaker Michael Irvin, who was obviously on the sidelines as well this weekend. Preston said that those moments shared with, Michael Irvin really stood out to him as well. And then just about, Presto being locked in, he goes, I just wanted to make transparent and clear that I bleed black and gold. There ain't no flipping. I'm not a wishy-washy dude, and I'm not a flip-flopper. I don't do all that. I'm going up there to help Coach Prime win a national championship, and that's it. That's the standard. So Preston Ashley is as locked in, as loyal as they come, especially in a day and age now where, even when you're committed, you're taking visits to other schools. Like, it's common. It's no shade to people who do that, to kids who do that. You got to do what you think is best for your future and your recruitment. But that's not Preston. He has been locked in with Coach Prime in Colorado since he committed earlier this summer. Chose the Buffs over Florida, Florida State, a handful of other Power 4 offers. And that's why Saturday's game for this Colorado football team was so much more important than what meets the eye. It wasn't just a win in the win column. It wasn't just an upset of a top 25 team. It was the fact that guys like Preston Ashley and Rodney Colton and Gavin Mueller, in my opinion, got to see Boulder at its peak. You know what I'm saying? They got to see what a game day at Colorado can be when everything is going the way it's supposed to be. So those guys are locked in. And I'm telling you, man, this 2026 class is already really, really good. It's going to be special. And I think it's going to be one of those classes that kind of prove to people that Coach Prime and this Colorado football program are here to stay, that they weren't just a flash in the pan, that they can recruit the high school ranks and they can get dogs out of the high school ranks. And how cool is it for those guys to be there for that game, watching London Merritt, the true freshman, get his first start, Alexander McPherson ball out, Quentin Gibson, who is now second in college football this season in kick return yards, ball out. Watch these young bulls get their opportunities right away as a freshman, because Preston is going to be one of those dudes. He is going to be on the field next year as a true freshman. So for those guys to see these freshmen, ball out and get opportunities right away, that was a perfect weekend from a recruiting perspective, honestly.
Facts. Great to hear that from Preston. I mean, he clearly had a great time, and he didn't even really need to say it this weekend. He's just locked in from the start. But getting that kind of stamp of approval from Rodney Colton as well, that's big time, man. And those two aren't the only ones, actually. People saw the Alabama offer come in for Gavin Mueller before the game, and of course the fan base freaks out. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's gone." Well, hold on, not so fast, my friend. Greg Smith at Rivals spoke to Gavin after his visit and about the Alabama offer. On the Alabama offer, he goes, "It was kind of a surprise. The GM had just flown out to my school last minute, and we just talked before my game. He wanted to see me in person. He just loved me. So it was kind of interesting, and it was cool. He was a nice guy, but I'm still locked in with Colorado, and I was there this weekend. I'm going back to Colorado." He says, "It was awesome and just reaffirmed me with the fact that this is the place I'm going to be at. I'm excited to see how the rest of the season turns out. It was awesome and definitely reassured me." Also, I mean, look, the reason he committed to Colorado was because of Coach Zim and Coach Bart. He loved those tight ends coaches. And about that, he said, why he's locked in, because all those schools, and why he's not considering Alabama. He goes, because all those schools are seeing in me what Colorado already saw in me from the start. So, it means more from a team that has been trusting in you and been locked in with you. I definitely take that into account. So no other visits are planned right now at all.
Hell yeah.
Period.
Point blank. I love that, man. That means something for real. When, especially in Gavin's case, where he hasn't, before this season, he doesn't have much high school production. Like, he's kind of just like a camp warrior. Like, you see him in person, you're like, oh yeah, dude can play. And this wasn't somebody, although he picked Colorado over LSU, Wisconsin, Notre Dame, this wasn't somebody who is a high 4-star or 5-star recruit who had a bunch of offers. No, like, this was kind of a find early on in the process by Coach Bart, Coach Zim, and this recruiting staff. And the fact that they were able to early in the process get in on his recruitment and make an impact, right? Like, Coach Bart, we talked about it. I think we had Gavin on the show, or I certainly interviewed him. Maybe we just talked about his interview on the show, but him and Coach Bart and Coach Zim, like, they like boys, like, for real. Like, they talk to each other like they've already known each other for years. Like, they're overly locked in. And again, when you know a program was kind of on you and recruiting you before the big boys got into the equation, that means a lot. And just talking about both of these guys, Preston and Gavin, like, those are the guys in terms of the loyalty stuff that can really make a class special. And there are a few of the guys already, of those type of guys in this 2026 recruiting class. So shout out to them. And a couple people mentioned too, you already got your quarterback. Yeah, the Juju already in the fold. You already got the leader, the face of the program of the future already in the fold, and kind of getting his feet wet a little bit in terms of the practice reps and knowing how the college football game works behind the scenes. So this thing is set up really nicely for the future.
Without a doubt, man. It's exciting times right now. Needed that win desperately for more reasons than one. But
was that the best win of the Coach Prime era, bro?
No.
Was it TCU still to you?
Yes, bro. That set the tone. That set everything up. It set everything up.
It did, bro. But it's like, damn, folks, we 2 years removed from that now. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna refrain from saying the best one, and I'm gonna say this was the most complete win of the Coach Prime era.
Yes,
and
yes.
I would like, they beat a good head coach, a good quarterback, and a good football team. Like, this team was just in the Big 12 championship game last year. You know what I'm saying? And I think UCF from Spencer, I think that's an acceptable answer as well. But TCU, I'm not gonna. We know what that moment was. Like, that was the aura game. You know what I'm saying? And that, like you said, kind of set everything into motion. But obviously, we know TCU was coming off the national championship game. That wasn't the same team that was a national championship. What did they finish, 5-7 that year? I think Iowa State's still going to get to like 8-9 wins this year. Like, that's a really good top 25 team you beat at home. And while it might not have the aura that Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders can bring, like, that was as complete of a win as I have seen since I've been covering this team from all three phases. Like I said, beating a good team with a good coach and a good quarterback soundly, right? That wasn't no fluky win either. Like, that was a sound win. So if people want to, say it's TCU, I'm certainly not going to push back. Like I said, I think UCF is certainly up there as well. But for my money, that game on Saturday was the most complete win of the Coach Prime era to me.
I mean, in terms of complete win, it's that in UCF, honestly. And this one being a ranked opponent at home, given the context of the season and where you're at right now, I mean, I think it's a good point. And it clearly shows. I mean, this is why we're talking about what we're talking about today. I mean, this could be truly a turning the corner moment, not just for this team, but for the identity and direction of the program. I mean, clearly it was Travis and Shedeur heavy those first 2 years, and those guys, single-handedly kind of resurrected the program. But it's a different challenge in continuing that. And that's the next phase, clearly. That's what we're going through right now. And I think you finally started to see those, turning the page from those two and actually moving on to more impactful players outside of those two at those positions as well, and being just a more complete football team. So, yeah.
Most definitely.
Let's talk Big 12. A fascinating weekend in the conference once again. Of course, Colorado with the big upset. Texas Tech is just, I mean, sheesh, man. They're number 9 in the country, or they were number 9 in the country after that game. They're up to number 7 now. Huh?
Wagon.
Yeah. I mean, Dickey had 263 yards rushing. It's
dog, bro. I saw a story about it. He had like one offer coming out of high school or something, and it was just Tech. And now he is, the running back on a top 5-ish team in the country. Did you see that Morton got hurt in that game as well? Like, second quarter, didn't return.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know at this point how you just don't stick with well-handed, right?
Well, I mean, Joey McGuire had a quote today, like, going off about Baron Morton's toughness and all that. And I just think that I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I really don't.
I mean, they either way, they got two good quarterbacks. And honestly, the quarterback is like one of maybe the fifth or sixth thing you point to as to why this team is so dominant.
I mean, they had
defense. Go ahead.
They had 9 sacks, bro. David Bailey had 3 sacks. Romello Height had 2 sacks. That's your 2 best edge rushers. They combined for 5 sacks.
Defense is insane. That front 7 is crazy. So
and Jalen Daniels only had 6 incompletions. He didn't even throw a pick. That's domination.
I bet he still felt suffocated because, like I said, that front 7 is insane. They got playmakers in the back end. They got playmakers at receiver. You just mentioned Dickey at running back, and they're well coached, and they got a crazy home field advantage as well. I'm sure you saw some of the stuff that came out of that. They dinner had Lance Leipold crying after the game. Them Tech fans don't play, bro. That is a real, they got a real home field advantage. You can say what you want about it and say the tortilla stuff and all the other stuff is kind of unsafe, and I would agree with you. But those fans have figured out that they are going to give their team a home field advantage. And when you go down there to Lubbock, you are expecting a dogfight.
It's never going to be easy playing this team this year. They're going to keep on rolling. They've got Arizona State this week. Should be a big game. We'll see on Sam Levitt's health. Speaking on Arizona State, we kind of mentioned it, but Utah absolutely rolled. There just wasn't a chance for ASU. I mean, they scored a touchdown in the third quarter to cut it to an 18-point lead. Yeah. It's all right, maybe you can get something going here. Nope, not a chance. Devin Dampierre played pretty well. He didn't really throw the ball that much, but he ran for over 120 yards, had 3 touchdowns. They ran for 276 yards as a team. They had 5 sacks as a team, 7 TFLs. It's going to be a massive test.
Too. I forget his name. He's got a hyphenated last name, like John.
Henry Daly?
Yeah. He's one of the best pass rushers in the Big 12 in the country as well. He's up there in terms of sack production this year. So Utah's a good football team. And obviously they should have won that game the way they did it without Sam Levitt. And they did. So big test. That Holy War this week is going to be interesting. What's your early read on that? Just quickly.
I think it's Utah's game to lose, honestly. It's at BYU, but let's talk about BYU. I mean, they were in a dogfight with Arizona, and that's another team who's coming up on the schedule for Colorado too, Arizona.
I tell you, bro, Arizona, bro, I almost tweeted something crazy during that game. The meme where it's dude standing up and it's the unpopular opinion. It's dude standing up in the courtroom or something. I almost wanted to post that. It was I actually like Brett Brennan, bro. Because I was watching that game, bro, and Brennan was so energetic, bro. He was trying to fire up his team. And I think he sensed what was potentially about to happen. If Arizona were to win that game at home, against the top 20 BYU, that would have been massive.
That would have been their best start in 20 years or something like that.
For sure. And obviously they couldn't get the job done. They couldn't finish. Bear Bachmeier kind of took over with his legs in that overtime period. But yeah, like I said earlier in the season, I kind of noticed it and I couldn't really admit it because they hadn't played anybody yet. They'd started off with a win over Hawaii and Weber State, but Fafita looks like 2023 Fafita. And when you have that under center, you're going to have a chance in every single game against every single opponent. So Arizona is not the Arizona of last year. They are a legitimate team. And somebody mentioned too, their defense is solid as well. So yeah, Arizona is not to be slept on or ignored.
I mean, they had Bear Bachmeier looking like a true freshman.
They did.
And I don't think many teams can say that they've done that this year. Clearly, Colorado couldn't. He was coming off a 300-yard passing game against West Virginia. But now, I mean, he threw 2 picks in that game. All of a sudden, he's got 3 interceptions after not having any turnovers when playing Colorado.
And they peanut punched them. They peanut punched Bear late in that game that could have sealed it, but they just couldn't. They couldn't fall on the ball to recover it. But that could have ended the game right there in crazy fashion.
I mean, BYU did steal the momentum late in that game. I thought they were going to win that game in overtime, honestly. But credit to Arizona's defense and credit, honestly, to Brett Brennan, too. I mean, I think it'd be very easy for those players and that administration and program to just give up on him after the mess that was last year. But credit to them for kind of digging their heels in, back against the wall and responding. Fafita it looks like he got better too. Looks a bit bigger too, in my opinion, also.
Looks very spry and just light on his feet. Like, I don't know. I liked him a lot in 2023 when he was the Pac-12 freshman of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously last year was what it was. But, you don't just stop being talented, right? I think last year was just a weird case of a first-year head coach, and maybe he was trying to just force the ball to T-Mac a lot, and maybe I think that kind of prevented him from just playing truly his game. But this year he looks like he's playing with a clear and free mind, and like I said, Arizona's a good team, man. That game is going to be fun for homecoming here in Boulder in a few weeks.
Yep. Cincinnati is still undefeated in the Big 12. I think they made an appearance in the top 25 this week now too. Credit to them.
Because I think I saw a joke. I think they are 24. Yeah, and Nebraska's 25. And they were like, I wonder what would happen if these two teams met on a neutral site.
That wasn't a neutral site game, though.
Right, and that's what people were saying in the replies. Like, that wasn't a damn neutral site. That was a damn home game for
Nah, send that game to Vegas or to State Farm Stadium or something. Give it a true neutral field. Get away from the Midwest altogether.
Agreed.
But yeah, they're now number 24 in the country. They are sitting atop the Big 12 at this point. It's a three-way tie between Texas Tech, BYU, and Cincinnati at the top of the Big 12. I didn't watch any of K-State, TCU. K-State came away with the win. Gutty win from them. That game was going on during our game, but Eric McAllister, Josh Hoover did their thing. I don't know exactly what happened here. And then Oklahoma State, it's so over. It's so unbelievably over. You lost by 22 to Houston. Credit to Houston, now 5-1. But it's, again, things could be so much worse.
Was Wigman back for them in that game?
Yep. Played pretty well. Had over 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interception, 21 of 30. Didn't do much running the ball, though.
It's a hell of a game.
All right. I've been waiting to talk about this. Penn State finally did it. They fired James Franklin last night, or yesterday, actually, right after the Broncos game. It was kind of, NFL slate starts. Let's just get this news out there. But this news was so big. It's all anyone can really talk about right now. They've had a wave of decommitments, clearly. I mean, gosh, that's truly going from bad to worse. Not only do you lose to, UCLA and all this stuff, you're coming off that loss to Oregon, which you're the number 3 team in the country just a few weeks ago. You lose to that Oregon team in overtime. All of a sudden you lose to UCLA. Then you lose to Northwestern at home, I believe, too, right? And your quarterback's done for the season, and now you fired their head coach, and you're getting these waves of decommitments.
It's tough, bro, because honestly, too, I think you had to turn the page from James Franklin, but are they realistically going to get better at head coach?
Well, and this leads to the next thing. It looks like Matt Rule is like the big target for them. That's all you have to say.
Be objective. I mean, you're right. I've seen that too. Like, I think he's the odds-on favorite too. Like, I think he's from that area, right? Or I think he played there.
Yeah,
I think he played at Penn State, and right, wasn't he? He was a coach at Temple previously before, right? Which is in the Philly area, if I'm not mistaken, or certainly in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yes, it is.
So that would just be objective. That's a downgrade. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you going to go get now? And honestly, too, I think James Franklin ends up in the Big 12, bro.
I could see that. I could see
Franklin ends up in the Big 12, whether it's Oklahoma State, whether it's TCU fans are kind of clamoring for Sonny Dykes' job right now.
Or I could also see Scott Satterfield taking off and taking a bigger job at this point out of Cincinnati and seeing him come in.
I think it would depend on how their season finishes. I don't think Satterfield's there yet where he's like, where he's on top programs' radars. But, yeah, that'd be interesting. It's just crazy because, like I said, where do you go from here if you're Penn State? You're not going to get anybody more high profile than James Franklin unless you poach somebody away from a school, who's already coaching at somewhere. And I don't know how many coaches who are at a place that's a good program that is going to leave their situation for Penn State right now. I don't know.
Well, looking at the Penn State rival site and the first football coaching hot board of the season, some pretty big time names, brother. We just mentioned Matt Rule. Matt Campbell makes an appearance on this list. Curt Cignetti makes an appearance on this
list. That's the one that just makes no sense to me.
Curt Cignetti?
Why would Cignetti leave Indiana right
now? I mean, it's a great question. He's, I think, coached in the area before, but he's clearly a program builder. And if you're Penn State and you have these aspirations of competing with Oregon and Michigan and Ohio State every year, I mean, Indiana, why not? Indiana's emerging as a threat too. They just had a massive win. Why not try and poach him? I mean, Kenny Dillingham's also showing up on this list. Manny Diaz at Duke is showing up on this list. Like, I think they're going to get one of these guys. I think that there is a lot of untapped potential at Penn State. I saw a crazy stat. I think it's like the last 5 recruiting classes. And I'm sorry, I should be better. I should probably double check this. But I saw that the last 5 recruiting classes, they've only gotten 4 4-star commits. Is that really true?
4 4-star or 5-star?
Yes. No, 4 4-stars.
That can't be right. I hope it's not right. And if it is, then yeah, what the hell James Franklin been doing? It feels like they've been fine on the recruiting trail recently.
I mean, they had a decent class at this point. They had a 5-star 2027 running back decommit. They had some big 2026 4-stars decommit. And then they had another, I think, 27, 4-star safety saying, like, you know, this has definitely changed my recruitment. Like, I'm still committed. I'm not locked in, though. I'm definitely reopening my recruitment at this point. So this is the ripple effect from this is going to be massive. This is almost like the I could see this being a situation like when LSU took Brian Kelly, and it's just a massive coaching shift across the entire country.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. This coaching carousel is going to be wild this offseason. I just hope for Penn State's sake, like, I feel like you only make that move if you have somebody in mind, you know, or if you have on good authority that the guy that you're targeting is open to the idea of leaving his spot to join you at Penn State. Like, I think that's the only way you make a move like this at this point of the year, because otherwise, right, like you mentioned, like, Aller's done for the year. His college career is over because he can't redshirt now. Like, I don't know why you just don't ride out with Franklin for the rest of the year. Like I said, unless you kind of know that the guy that you're targeting has some mutual interest. So it's going to be fascinating, right? This coaching carousel is going to be crazy to watch this offseason.
We'll look at like some of the biggest head coaching turnarounds, Colorado included. I think you could throw Indiana in there, those two in particular. What really made those programs get jump-started was the schools went and hired coaches who they knew would bring in talent through the transfer portal from their previous teams. Yeah. And I think that when you're a program like Penn State in this era and you make a move like this, that has to be at the forefront of your mind, whether it's, you know, one of the best G5 coaches in the country. You know, Alex Galesh at UCF has done some things that are really impressive. You know, other names don't really come to mind right now, but
and that's what I think is going to end up happening. Like, I think it's going to be somebody like Alex Galesh who's like kind of taking a mid-major into something. Like, I could be totally wrong, but I just don't envision a big-time coach or a coach at a big-time program right now leaving that program for Penn State. I think they're going to go for like I said, the Alex Galesh, somebody who, again, like, I agree with you. Some other names aren't coming to my mind, but like coaches who have taken a mid-major and elevated them. I think that's kind of the way Penn State should be looking at this.
Even coaches like Jed Fish. I mean, he was talked about for the UCLA job. That's exactly what he did to kind of turn Washington around to this point. He brought in a wave of players from him, with him from Arizona. And again, his name's been thrown around for a UCLA job. If that name's thrown around for the Penn State job, which I don't know if that's necessarily a fit. That's a West Coast guy going all the way east.
Right.
He's going to bring some players, but that quarterback is nasty at Washington. I don't know what year he is. DeMond Williams, holy cow.
I think he's a sophomore, bro.
See?
He's a dog. But yeah, maybe him, maybe fishing him or a package. But it's like, bro, how could you Fish? This is Fish's second season at Washington, correct?
Yeah.
It'd be crazy to leave after 2 years, after you already jumped ship at Arizona and to jump ship again at Washington for Penn State. I think for another team in the Big Ten, I think it's kind of crazy. But
we'll see. Okay, quickly, NFL Buffs. Jimmy Horn made some plays. LaJohntay Wester, it's only a matter of time. Shador's obviously QB2 now. We didn't really get to see him, but a lot of interesting stuff going on in Cleveland. Nate Landman, shout out Nate Landman. Very impactful plays for the Rams again this weekend. Am I missing anyone exactly? BJ Green, I saw him on the field at times.
Bro, did you see the play? Did you see Travis's PBU?
Yes.
That literally went right into BJ. Like, that would have been crazy if a Travis PBU leads to a BJ Green interception. That would have been absolutely insane. But it is dope seeing BJ out there. Obviously, watching Travis do his thing, even though, as Ivan says, he's kind of being wasted away on offense.
Trevor Lawrence sucks.
Yesterday for I think Trevor had like 4 catches yesterday for like 15 yards because all of them were like just short in the flat. Here, make the whole team miss, Travis, if you're going to make something out of this. And it's like, yeah, he's going to make 2 dudes miss because that's what he does. But it's like, bro, get creative. Get him going with a head of steam down the field. Get him elevating over defenders like you saw him do last week in a big spot against the Kansas City Chiefs. But I'm talking about obviously Dillon Gabriel started again for the Browns yesterday, man. He threw the ball 52 times yesterday, Jake. Dillon Gabriel threw the ball 52 times, and only 4 of those passes were over 10 yards in the air, bro.
This can't go on much longer.
It can't. It can't, and it won't. It won't, because that time coming, bro. And when that time is here, there ain't no turning the clock back.
Yeah,
because Dillon Gabriel through 2 starts now has not shown you anything that says, "Oh yeah, this is our guy. This is a franchise quarterback." Right? Nope, not nothing. Not last week in London, or wherever they were playing the Vikings.
Yeah, that was London. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not this week against the Steelers. Dink dong Dillon, as Lil Rico Baby says. Like, that is who he is. And if Kevin Stefanski wants to save his job, if the Browns want to give Myles Garrett something to actually be excited to come to work for. Did you see yesterday Jalen Ramsey sack Dillon Gabriel and then point at Shador on the sideline? Like, bring your ass out here.
I did not, but
the whole league knows what's going on, bro.
Everyone knows, bro. Everyone knows. We've known since April 26th or whatever the hell the date is. What are we talking about?
Exactly.
Don't get me started on the Browns. I'm just going to redirect all this anger towards Trevor Lawrence. Brother, you got to perform. It's year 5 for him. Like, I know he just got an extension, but at what point are you – it is what it is. You are what you are in the NFL after so many years. And he had a lot on his plate, clearly, coming in to that franchise in that state, being the first overall pick. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe this is more on Liam Cohen and the offense, the coaches, rather than Trevor Lawrence. Travis Hunter's literally a get out of jail free card for a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. And for whatever reason, it's Parker Washington, Diami Brown, all these guys over him. And I saw a crazy tweet. It's like, oh, Travis Hunter's a complete weapon in the flat for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He always makes the first man miss. He does that everywhere on the field. You can do that 30 yards down the field too. They just refuse to do it. It makes 0 sense.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of Trevor. Like, he is just a quintessential, in my mind, NFL quarterback where it's like, man, they show you flashes of the great and of the awful. And if you can just hone in and try to get him to play consistent. I think the Chiefs game was a perfect example. Trevor made some plays in that Chiefs game where you're like, damn, this dude this is why you spent the number 1 overall pick on him. This is why he was viewed as one of the most safest draft picks of the recent draft era. And then in that same game, he makes plays where you're like, is this dude even a starter in the league?
It's crazy, bro.
Like, they just paid him an extension. So if it goes for a lot of guys, college football, NFL included, just finding consistency. I personally think Trevor Lawrence is a good football player, but it's the inconsistencies that make you wonder about that. And it's just really head scratching and frustrating to see Travis's usage this year, especially after you traded up to draft him, bro.
Yes.
You drafted him second overall, and you just got the training wheels on him still. And this is somebody who don't need no training wheels. He's never had them. He don't know how to use training wheels. He should never be asked to use them. He don't need them. And especially when Travis is, every time you do throw him the ball or you give him opportunities, he's making the most of it. Like, he's doing more than what a typical player would do in the same situation. So I'm trying to be patient with Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm trying to. But we got to start seeing this guy get unlocked, man. If you would have told me before the season that we're going to be in week 7 of the NFL season and Travis don't even got a 100-yard game yet or a touch, bro, don't got a touchdown yet.
Well, how? How does that happen?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It really is. All right, I got to get out of here. Do we have anything super chats or comments wise? Let's fun show today. Hit the thumbs up button. Shout out to all the podcast listeners as well. We appreciate y'all greatly, man.
Yeah.
All right, nothing. That's it. We'll be back tomorrow. We have the coordinators tomorrow up in Boulder, so we will still be talking some Buffs the next couple of days. But yeah, it's the bye week. Hope y'all enjoy it. We're gonna enjoy it. Talk some bigger picture stuff as well moving forward. Maybe some guests coming in on the show. We'll see. Appreciate y'all. See you tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.